Welcome into Pac-12 Preview. Yes, I am Michael Carasino at Diablo00. You can find me on Twitter. Again, don't be bashful. Comment in here as well, too. Got comments going and all that good stuff. So, yes, you can hit me up on Twitter. It was a very, first of all, hope everybody had a fun weekend. I know St. Patrick's Day, who, if some of you, hopefully some of you looked it up. Like I said, St. Patrick is Italian. So that being said, hope everybody had a fun and safe, enjoyable weekend. And if you filled out a bracket, I'm sure you're probably one of the 99 percentile whose bracket just got absolutely crushed opening weekend. Yeah. And it was very eye-opening, fun. Fairleigh Dickinson, obviously, Teaneck, New Jersey, rock on. Getting a win, Princeton, obviously boding well for schools in New Jersey, but Princeton with a big upset, and on a big scale too. Because if you think about it, the amount of points they held Arizona to, which I was very shocked. Again, I'm not going to sit there and make excuses, talk out of both sides of my mouth. Arizona, to me, especially the last half of the season, yeah, they gave up points during the season, but there's so many games where you never felt they were out of control or not in control of the game. So there's that big upset. The one that topped it, though, Purdue, Big Ten #1 team, Big Ten team goes down. Weird. I think there's only one Big Ten team left in the tournament, too. I mean, again, this is not me speaking out of both sides of my mouth. This is facts. This is facts in the aspect of when you look at what, again, and yes, for the Pac-12, it's been a little tough with you can say less representation, less teams. Did the teams earn being there? Absolutely. I mean, that not even because it was ASU, but that ASU TCU game, oh man, on night, absolute first, to me, maybe the best game of the first round, the round of 64. But yeah, for me, maybe that. And then you look at USC and Michigan State. I said that would be a that would be a very I thought SC would win. I mean, I know I said, oh, they run away with it, but I just knowing what Tom Izzo does and his teams again do. Now, do I think Michigan State being a 7 seed lifetime achievement award? No. They were up and down, but if the Big Ten's so great, there's one team left. One team left. Okay. So once again, goes to my point that, you know, in Michigan State being a 7 seed, they weren't really there. But I mean, Purdue, look, they did struggle down the stretch. They did win the Big Ten tournament. But yeah, #1 seed. And I did love the tweets. These are some great tweets from the weekend. University of Maryland, Baltimore campus. Once Purdue lost to Fairleigh Dickinson, UMBC tweeting some fun stuff out, but my favorite from them was now we have a friend, because you all recall UMBC 16 seed beat was it Virginia, and yeah, I mean it was just But for Purdue to go down 63-58 in that first round, again, Fairleigh Dickinson played out of lines. And I'd say that in the end, a 16 seed that 2 days before that, they destroyed Texas Southern 84-61 to get that. And then they win, took that momentum and beat Purdue. I mean, they had a good game plan. Again, they were obviously smaller than Purdue, and Zach Edey again trying to get him the ball. But yeah, so stoked for Fairleigh Dickinson. And again, Purdue doing that. Yes. Princeton beat Arizona, though. When we look at that, 59-55. And we'll start there because look, Arizona came in a number 2 seed, and Princeton won the Ivy League. And the Ivy League, can they play well? They don't have athletic scholarships, have academic ones. And I don't think Princeton, they were saying too, I was reading, they don't accept transfers. So, which, yeah, that's again in this day and age too, obviously, but it is an Ivy League school, so you are there for the education. But yeah, so 59-55, Arizona's up by 1.5, 31-30, and then Princeton held them to 24 points in the second half. I mean, this is a team, Princeton team that shot 40% from the field, Arizona 42% from the field, Arizona 18% from behind the arc. Not that Princeton was much better, 16%. Arizona 3 of 16 from 3-point land, 18.8%, and then Princeton 4 of 25, which would be 16%. So I mean, yeah, not great from behind the arc. Princeton only had 5 free throws all game. They were 3 of 5. Arizona, though, was 4 of 7. So not much called. Well, I shouldn't say. I mean, not many free throw attempts, opportunities for either team. And you would think, and I talked about it going down low. I mean, while he's with Ballo and Tubelis for Arizona, the years they had, how solid they were. And I mean, Tubelis had 22 points and 5 rebounds. He had 4 steals and a block. Ballo had 13 points, 12 boards. And they were Arizona's 2 leading scorers. Kirk Kriisa again. He's playing through it. So he played through it. I'm not making an excuse for the Pac-12 and/or Kriisa, but at the same time, like that shoulder was all messed up, and he played through it. He played through it. But the shoulder was a little messed up, to say the least. And it affected him. I mean, 3 points for him. He was 1 of 7 from the field, and that was from behind the arc. He hit one of the 3-pointers, but he had 3 points. Ramey had 8 points, and Henderson only had 2. So yeah, Ballo and Tubelis were able to score, but defensively, I mean, that's what Princeton did. Anybody not familiar with Princeton? And again, I wasn't crazy familiar. I watched them play in the Ivy League conference tournament, and that's about all I had seen of Princeton. So full disclosure, but from Princeton, and watching them play in the tournament, and they play defense. I mean, you look at like I said, their leading scorer had 15 points. 15, and he was 7-15 was Tosan Evbumowan. Yeah, so Tosan Evbumowan was their leading scorer in this game for Princeton, yes, 15 points. He had 7 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal, a block, and he was the only player for Princeton in double digits. Now, and the bench Princeton's bench, again, neither coach going crazy deep, but outscored Arizona's bench 16-7. I mean, Larson only had 2 points coming off the bench. Henderson Jr., same thing. He had 2 points. Well, he started, but he had 2 points. He had 8 points. Krisa had 3, but yeah, it was just what Princeton wanted to do defensively. Like I said, you go in half. Pardon me. You go into the half down by 1, and it's one of those things where it's 31-30 at the half, and Arizona's up, and you figure, all right, it's a 15-2 game. Princeton can play defense. I mean, a team that won over 20 games this year. And you figure, okay, they're in it, but Tommy Lloyd, what he's done, obviously the lineup he has, adjustments that he's made, it's not out of the realm as I'm watching this game to think, all right, Arizona's only up by 1, but first round of the tournament. And here's the thing I've always said, and I forgot to say this last week, because okay, conference tournaments, and you figure a team wins, gets an automatic bid. Some team gets hot, goes on a run. I mean, Northern Arizona almost did it here. They went to the championship game of the Big Sky, and they were well under 500. So that would have thrown a huge monkey wrench. Granted, they would have been in the play-in too, or the first 4, I should say. Keep calling it the play-in. The first 4, had they won their tournament. But that being said, it's one of those things where if you're Arizona and you're looking at Princeton, you're like, okay, Tommy Lloyd all year long has made adjustments. I mean, like I said, Tabella's, Ballo, Krisa, again, that shoulder. And it was just like last year's tournament. He banged up his ankle, and he just wasn't the same player, but gave it a go. And now with the shoulder, a little different, can still move. He was moving good, but just with the shot, you could tell it was, even at the end, in the Pac-12 tournament when it happened, you could tell it was bothering them. And they won the Pac-12 tournament over UCLA. But where Princeton just, again, people say, oh, they made it ugly. And again, playing defense, challenging, trying to take certain players, playing defense, doesn't mean the game's ugly. Now, 59-55 to an Arizona team, too, that had scored average around 80 points during the regular season. That's just insane to me that Princeton held them to 55. And in the second half, I mean, Princeton, like I said, 30 in the first half, 29 in the second half. Arizona's 31, but only 24 points in the second half. And Princeton gets the 15-2 upset. But what I was going to say is, it is conference tournaments aside. Yes, if somebody gets hot, but for the most part, teams that were already going to the tournament, in a large part, do win the conference tournaments. Now, Arizona won it over UCLA, who UCLA won the regular season Pac-12 title. And they had split during the season, and then Arizona, like I said, beat them in the Pac-12 championship game. But these are the 64, well, even with the first four, 68, but the 64 best teams in the country. So, and I've said for years, like calling it an upset, yes, like a 1-15 has now happened 2 times. So it's like 100 and was it like 151-2 since Fairleigh Dickinson beat Purdue? I was talking about. But to look at this, and when you look at what Princeton did, 15 beating a 2, and again, it's the second time. That was 16. Sorry, not second time. But so, yes, they are a 15 seed. They had over 20. They had 22 wins, 21 wins when they got to Arizona. 22 wins. So I don't feel. And again, when you look at the lineups and think, okay, yes, Arizona should, if they play their game, if they can impose their will, but play their game, play to the pace that they want to play to. And Princeton slowed it down. Again, people say, oh, they made it ugly, mucked it up. All those adjectives that we throw out there, and I say more so derogatory terms because they're like, oh, it was ugly games, bad game. No, Princeton played. They were able to impose their will. So they're a 15 seed. They beat a 2. And yeah, Arizona's a little shocked because, yes, I did have Arizona going to the Final Four. When I looked at I had Arizona in the Final Four, knowing it'd be a tough road. Princeton, I said, yeah, they want to slow the game down, but I just think Arizona has too much down low. Okay. Then whoever they played, either Utah State or Missouri, and Missouri won that game, the 7-10 matchup. I figure Arizona's going to get by them too. Utah State saw play a few times this year. And thought they were good. Missouri, again, in the SEC, yes, they had an above average year, but I thought either way, Arizona gets them. And then from the top half of the matchup, I thought, well, if it could be Baylor or Creighton, because I didn't think NC State UCSB, the Gauchos. Sorry about that, UCSB. But I thought, okay, Baylor or Creighton, be tough. I go would be a tough matchup for them. But I thought they were, again, I thought they would be, if Baylor tried to play the way they normally do. I was going to say what they know. If Baylor tried to play toe-to-toe with Arizona, I think they matched up. Creighton, Arizona had already beaten them. And yes, Creighton was a little bit banged up beginning of the season, but still I thought, okay, if they're playing Creighton, that'd be, they would be playing Creighton actually in the Sweet 16. So I said, okay, that'll be a tough match. Either one, tough. Baylor, I think they would excuse me. Baylor, I think they would win going away, but nonetheless, I'm like Arizona again to the Elite Eight, and Elite Eight from there. So yeah, I mean that was tough. But again, hats off to Princeton. Like I said, when you hold an Arizona team to 24 points in the second half, and an Arizona team, like I said, shot 42% from the field. So nothing great. Not from the 3-point line from the field. They only shot 18.8% from the 3-point line. So, and 57%. I mean, they only took seven free throws. So Princeton keeping the ball, Arizona in the second half from getting it down low and letting Ballo and, even Tabellus get to the rim. They did at points, but at times I should say, but overall it worked out for Princeton. So they get the 59-55 upset over Arizona. And UCLA again. I mean, their first round game against UNC Asheville. It was chalk. I mean, they were also a 2 seed. UNC Asheville, a 15 seed. UCLA came out with their foot on the gas. No surprise. Jaime Jaquez leading all scorers for UCLA. 17 points, 8 rebounds. Also had 5 steals. Did Mr. Jaime Jaquez. For UCLA has 17 points, 8 boards, 1 assist, 5 steals. And actually, he was tied for the leading scorer because Bailey, who has come along quite well for UCLA, the freshman Amari Bailey, he also had 17 points, 6 assists, 4 boards, 3 steals for Bailey. And Jaquez, again, 5 steals. They had 11 steals for the game. Did UCLA, and you're turning somebody over that much, then yes, it's I mean, UCLA only had 8 turnovers. UNC Asheville had 16. So it was 46-25 at halftime. UCLA put up another 40 in the second half, outscored them 40-28. So 86-53. The Bruins get that win. Tiger Campbell, he had 7 points, 3 rebounds, 10 assists though, and he also chipped in with a steal. So again, first round, not really all too tough for the Bruins as they beat the Bulldogs of UNC Asheville 86-53. And then on Friday, on St. Patty's Day, man, this was a tough one. Arizona State was up by 7 at half over TCU in the 6-11 game. TCU, the 6th seed. Arizona State won the on Wednesday night. We talked about it Friday that when we were talking about this game as well, but they won their first 4 game against Nevada 98-73, and but yeah, that was Nevada 98-73. Then they take on TCU in Denver, which again, still annoyed had to go to Dayton to come back to Denver. But it looked like in the beginning of the game, I mean, TCU got off to a good start. And Arizona State up by 7 at half, and they only put up 26 points in the second half. TCU, again, it was 44-37 at half. TCU put up 35 in the second half. Like I said, ASU only put up 26. Down the stretch, I mean, TCU led early, and then Arizona State from, I'd say, about the 8-minute mark of the second half when I was watching. Yeah, because it was, but from a good portion of let's just say the last half of the first half into till the 7-minute mark. Once it hit 7 minutes to go in the second half, ASU definitely outplayed TCU. Defensively, they were frustrating them. Balanced scoring. DJ Horn led all scores with 17 points for ASU, but Warren Washington had 11. Des Cambridge Jr., 4 for 15 from the field, a very tough shooting night for him, 2 for 7 from behind the arc. He did finish with 10 points. And then ASU's bench outscored TCU's bench 20-11. And granted, all 11 points on the bench came from Coles for TCU. But it's just frustrating because DJ Horn hit a big three to tie it up at 70. And again, there was still obviously time left, and I saw, again, looking at post-game reaction, and Bobby Hurley, again, your team, you play in Dayton, you come back and play in Denver, a little bit of a slow start, you take a 7-point lead into halftime, you're figuring, okay, TCU is going to make a run, because Mike Miles Jr., this young man, the 6'2", he's a junior, but from Highlands, Texas, and he is their go-to guy. And 26 points for him. He delivered. 26 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Also came up with 2 blocks. And Jacoby Coles, he floated. Jacoby Coles hit the winner, but get to that in a second. But yeah, for Mike Miles Jr., he played 37 minutes, again, 26 points. He led all scores, obviously led his team in score, but led all scores with 26 points. Just impressed with this, what young man could do. He was 6 for 15 from the field, but he was 2 for 5 from behind the arc. Free throws, though, 12 out of 14. It's a team that shot 27 free throws. They were 20 for 27. ASU shot 18. So teeny bit of a discrepancy. Again, I see a lot of passionate fans that just felt ASU had the game won. And, from my fan side, I was right there. And, you want to hit better, you want to hit more free throws, get the ball down low. They were fouling, and, but ASU 12 for 18, figure if they're 14 for 18, this game goes to overtime. And who knows what happens there? You could say, well, TCU forcing overtime, the way they came back down the stretch might have the momentum, but you get to reset and could have lived with that. But yeah, even Luther Muhammad off the bench, love what he did. Not having Austin Nunez, look, that's tough because this young man was in concussion protocol and didn't play in the Pac-12 tournament at all for ASU. And then in the first 4 game, obviously this game against TCU, I think defensively, especially in spurts, that changes it a little bit for the Sun Devils. Duke Brennan, I love this freshman. He played 6 minutes. He was 3 for 4. That's where he scored all his points, but 3 for 4 from the free throw line. Alonzo Gaffney had 5 points, hit a big 3-pointer. Or no, he actually was 2 for 2 from the field and then 1 for 3 from the free throw line. But Mohamed, Gaffney, Neal off the bench, even Duke Brennan, again, giving Bobby Hurley solid minutes. And, you look for what they did all year. And DJ Horn, like I said, 17 points, 5 for 9 from the field, 4 for 5 from behind the arc for DJ Horn. So it was a huge 3 that he hit to tie it at 70. And Here, the one thing though, and I will say this because I did, check out and seeing what again, fans. Everybody, we're as a fan, you're always undefeated. You're a perfect coach. This should have been done. The one thing, and I see why you wouldn't do it because I like the suggestion. I can see why. I don't know if likes the word. I can see why the suggestion was made. When they're dribbling, just foul them. When TCU is dribbling, trying to run the clock down, again, they go to the screen, just foul them. Because if you foul them, say there's 7-8 seconds left. ASU one timeout left, right? If you foul them, they hit both free throws. All right. Well, then you're back to square one because with 10 seconds left, you have to get it up court quick and sink a pressure three. Oh, no. It was 70-70. What am I talking about? It was 70-70. So even if they hit both, cool. You have to come down. If they hit a three, you can take it all the way to the rack. You can get the layup. They tend to swallow the whistles at the end of the game. If there's a foul, which I'm going to get to in a second, because it should have been an offensive foul on TCU on that last shot because of if you look at the replay, but of course, the ref's standing right there. They can't see that. Just swallow the whistle, let them foul. And again, I say this for all teams. Yes, it is more frustrating when it's your team. I completely understand that. But I say this for all teams. And it's frustrating because at the end of the game, when you're like, are you kidding me? Like, if you're not making the same calls, this time of year or, at the end of the game that you make at the beginning of the game, then yes, you become a part of the game and it's absolutely terrible. So, but I see it because it's tied at 70. Okay, try to get a steal. If you don't, then just foul. Make sure there's, 7 to 10 seconds left on the clock and foul. Bobby Hurley could tell her that. TCU took their last time out. Bobby Hurley could tell them that. And when you look at it, I can see that. So if they hit, both, you're still down, but you're down by 2, but you have 7 seconds instead of 1.3 seconds or 1.5. So if you foul, they go, okay, if they say they only make one, well, 2-pointer wins it. If they make both, you don't have to hit a 3. Yes, I know you want to get the win, but if it's not open, if you can get it all the way, if you can get it down, take it to go to overtime, have a chance to go to overtime. If they miss both, say they miss both, you get the board, take the timeout, or maybe you charge it back up court. If they would have missed both, and yes, I do hear me. I know I'm saying coulda, shoulda, woulda, if. I did see that suggestion, foul, put them on the line, give yourself with one timeout, even though it's not the NBA, because if they make it, you don't get to advance the ball. Which is just funny. You think they make it harder on college kids, even though than they do on pros, but nonetheless. So I could see that. I see that line of reasoning. I see also playing it out because if they do miss it, you're going to overtime. And then if you foul them and they make it and you lose, you're like, well, why'd you foul? I get it. But I did see a few suggestions of that. But look, what Bobby Hurley and this team have done all year, what they do, they play defense. What did I say? Arizona, UCLA, USC, Arizona State. Defensively, I didn't say, I said they would not win. They wouldn't beat everybody. They're all obviously neither four of those teams was undefeated on the season. But I said defensively, they go toe-to-toe with anybody. Well, defensively, ASU did it. They did it against Nevada in the first 4. They did it against TCU in that first round game, in the round of 64. And I will say this, that they proved they could do it. To me, if Nunez again would have been able to play, because how he had evolved all season, especially defensively, ball pressure, he was the reason for quite a few turnovers, just because of the pressure that the ball pressure he's able to put on, and how the freshman just developed as the season went on. But yeah, so for those out there, I said I wanted to address it. I see why you would want to foul, and I maybe would try it. but I also see, playing defense, because the defense you've played all year has been good enough. And Jacoby Coles, again, Mike Miles Jr. had the ball. Coles set the screen. Miles Jr. got it to Coles, and a young man off the bench who had, 11 points, and he hits the game-winning floater as he gets into the lane. Now, the thing that annoys me lastly about this play is when you watch the replay, the guy that is matched up against Warren Washington, who can block shots, is a hell of a rim protector, has his one arm locked up. Warren Washington didn't hold his arm down. He couldn't get it up. And as he's starting to jump, you can see he can't fully elevate because the guy's fouling him. That's what's annoying. Yes, there were other plays throughout the second half ASU could have made. They had a nice, 7-point lead at halftime, but they were up by like 5 or 7 with 7 with 3 left to go, 3.5 in that area. And you're figuring, all right, run your offense, get it down low. But that was still a foul. That shot should not have counted. It should have been turned over to ASU, and it's a foul. Because I'm telling you right now, if I'm that big and I could do that, I could have been an all I definitely could have played in college, and I could be an all NBA player too if you could sit there and do that. And don't tell me it's sour grapes. Don't tell me, you're using the referees as an excuse. No, I said ASU needed to make plays. They probably needed to take some better shots, but they went toe-to-toe with TCU, Big 12 team, punched them in the mouth. They stood in the middle of the ring with them, but you're not going to call a foul on a guy that can block a shot because another player is holding his arm down. So that's just me. But nonetheless, the Horned Frogs won, and that's that. So, and then USC, look, Michigan State beat them 72-62, and it was tied at half. It was tied at 34 at half. And then, obviously, Michigan State outscored them 38-28. They outscored them in the second half. I will say this for Michigan State quickly. They did hold Boogie Ellis only had 6 points. He was 3 for 12 from the field, 0 for 3 from behind the arc. And that young man has just been setting the twine on fire in any gym that he's been in you can say most of the season, but the last 2 months, Boogie Ellis has definitely set the twine on fire. And the fact they did that, Tom Izzo even said, this young man is unbelievable. And, for our team to hold him down like that, he only had 6 points. Morgan led the Trojans in scoring with 14. Kobe Johnson, pardon me, the sophomore, had 13 points. And off the bench, Reese Dixon Waters had 10 points. So got good contributions, did SC, but man, they just Michigan State just ended up being too much. And again, it's a Tom Izzo team, so no surprise there. And the Pac-12 is down to one team now, and on the men's side, and that is the UCLA Bruins, who will meet up with the Bulldogs of Gonzaga. It was a Final Four matchup a few seasons ago when was it Jalen Suggs hit that shot to send the Bulldogs to the championship game. So we'll see what this matchup does Sweet 16 wise, but UCLA is the only team left. All right, we're going to take a quick break. And when I get back, we will hop to the women's side, because there was another huge upset against a Pac-12 team. Ginormous upset. And yes, I will say ginormous, because this team definitely could have won the national title with the way they played all year. But hey, in a one game in or out, that's what happens. So we'll step aside and we'll have more here on Pac-12 Preview. All right, back here on Pac-12 Preview again, talking about real quick, the men's Sweet 16. I know I wrapped it up. So we have Alabama, number 1 seed in the South. Yes, no surprise. They are taking on the 5th seeded Aztecs of San Diego State. Thanks in part to, and I know I mentioned off the top, but Furman upset Virginia 68-67, a 4 for 13. So now Virginia's lost as a 2 seed to a 15, a 4 seed to a 13. But they also did manage to win a national title in between there too. So again, I'm not making fun of anybody. It's tournament. And Furman, and you see it, but they're obviously there because they can play. And then San Diego State, they beat Charleston, and then they beat Furman handily 75-52. So Alabama, San Diego State in the Sweet 16. And then also in the South, Creighton taking on 6th ranked Creighton taking on 15th ranked Princeton. Yes, if you had that in your brackets, yeah, good for you. But I'm calling you a liar. Raise your hands if you did. But got to say lying there. And then when we look at the Midwest, when we look at the East, FAU, Florida Atlantic, they beat Memphis in the first round, the 8-9 matchup. They were the 9 seed that beat them 66-60. Again, 8-9 matchup should be that close, right? They beat Memphis in the first round, and then Fairleigh Dickinson, who beat Purdue. Yeah, way to go. Big Ten, baby. Rocking it. Then FAU beat Fairleigh Dickinson, but it was close, 78-70. So FAU will play Tennessee, who just manhandled Duke 65-52 the other day. And on the bottom part of the South, we have number 3 seed Kansas State taking on number 7 Michigan State, who beat 2nd seeded Marquette, who was my other team. So I lost on the left side of the bracket with the East and the South. I lost my 2 of my Final Four. I had Marquette and Arizona in the Final Four. It's funny because I was debating between Kansas State and Marquette, whoever won that game. But yeah, so nonetheless, Michigan State, look, hats off to them. They will play Kansas State, who I think is a favorite in that, but we'll see. So in the South, you have FAU and Tennessee, and then Kansas State, Michigan State. In the Midwest region, it is Houston, number 1 seed, and number 5 Miami, who did crush. And the ACC, again, they got picked on a lot for being up and down, and a lot down this year, and not even just because, North Carolina not getting into the tournament. But yeah, Miami just absolutely rolled Indiana 85-69. They will take on Houston, who got past Auburn. Auburn beat Iowa. Get another Big Ten team going out. And then, in the Midwest, you have Houston and Miami, and then Xavier, one of my Final Four teams, number 2 Texas taking on number 3 Xavier. So chalk on the bottom part of the Midwest bracket. And then in the West, we have Arkansas upset Kansas, and we'll call it an upset because it was an 8 seed. But Arkansas will take on Dan Hurley's UConn Huskies, the 4th-seeded Huskies, taking on the 8th-seeded Razorbacks. And yeah, UConn got past St. Mary's 70-55 in the second round. Then the bottom half, Gonzaga, UCLA, another 2-3 matchup there. So that game to me looks like to be the best of the biggest matchup of the Sweet 16. So that is where we are at with that. On the women's side, though, I said there was a big upset, and I wasn't kidding. Because if with this bracket, and no, it wasn't South Carolina, and they still have actually games tonight because the men go, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The women go Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So yes, part of some of the Sweet 16 set, others isn't, but UCLA again in the first round in the Greenville 1 bracket, focused on the Pac-12 teams. UCLA beat Sacramento State 67-45, and then Oklahoma beat Portland 85-63. So Oklahoma and UCLA will do battle tonight, actually on ESPN. South Carolina, yep, they're still undefeated. They beat Norfolk State 72-40. Then they put up 76 against South Florida. And they beat South Florida 76-45. So they're headed to the Sweet 16. They will play the winner of that aforementioned UCLA Oklahoma game. See if the Bruins can get it. I did pick the Bruins to beat Oklahoma in this game. So we'll see what happens. The bottom part of the bracket set as Arizona, as a 7 seed. They beat West Virginia 75-62. And Maryland had beat Holy Cross in the first round 93-61. Arizona was hanging, and then in the third quarter, so in the second half, towards the end of the third quarter, Maryland started to separate a little bit, and they ended up beating Arizona 77-64. And I did have Arizona actually winning that game and going on to play Notre Dame, but Notre Dame actually, they beat Mississippi State 53-48. And they will take on Notre Dame and Maryland in the Sweet 16 there in the Greenville 1 bracket. In the Seattle 4 bracket, this is where we had the upset. This is absolutely ginormously huge because Stanford lost to Ole Miss. Top-seeded Stanford lost to Ole Miss 54. And when you hear the score, no, I'm not misreading it. No, it's not misreading it. It's Ole Miss didn't even score for the last 5.5 minutes of the game. And Stanford just cannot make their way back. And they lost 54-49. The difference being, the first half. It was Stanford only had 20 points in the first half. They only scored 7 points in the second quarter. Now, that had not happened to Stanford all year. And this is just insane to me. Ole Miss, again, an 8 seed, and Stanford, I mean, you look at Cameron Brink and the 6'4" junior, again, from Oregon, who had one heck of a game. She led her team in scoring she had 20 points, 13 boards, 2 steals, 7 blocks, and doing everything for her team to win. Hannah Jump had 8 points, again, 3 for 8 from the field, 2 for 4 from behind the arc. 1 rebound, 1 steal, and I know she had hit the leader in, I think, 3-pointers for Stanford, Hannah Jump. And I mean, you're just like insane. But yeah, I mean, to only put up 49 points and you bring, like I said, 5 for 13 from the field, but 10 for 10 from the line. So, and 13 boards, figure, okay, you get a 20-point, 13 board, 10 for 10 free throw night from Brink. There's no way. And they were 13 for 16 from the line. Ole Miss was 11 for 14 from the line. And leading the Rebels in scoring was Angel Baker, the senior. And you look at it, she had 13, but it was balanced. And Markeisha Davis last night had 12. And yeah, so Baker had 13, Davis had 12, and then Madison Scott had 11, 6'1" junior, had 11 for Ole Miss in their starting lineup. So, I mean, very, very balanced. They got 11 points off the bench. 9 of those were from the freshman guard, Ayanna Thompson. And that's, I mean, yeah. So she had 9 of the bench points, did Thompson. And you look at Stanford only had 3 bench points. And I mean, that's tough. You look at India Nevar, who played 20 minutes and did not score. She was 0 for 2 from the field, 0 for 1 from behind the arc. And that'll do it to you every time. I mean, it's like I said, Stanford as a team, they shot 17 to 52 from the field, 32%. They were 28% from behind the arc, 28.6%, but 81%, like I said, from the line. But man, look, it was, like I said, it was 29 to 20 at half of me. So the bad news for Stanford, they only had 20 points at the half. The good news is, okay, you're down by 9. You haven't played your best half. There's no way Tara Vonder for your team. I mean, there's no way it's going to play like that. So then they outscore Mississippi State by 2, and so they're down by 7 going into the fourth, but it's 15-13. But they put up 14 points in the fourth. Mississippi State put up 12. So you outscored by 4, but once again, being down by 9, you lose by 5. And at the half. And look, when I was watching, I was in shock. And like I said, Ole Miss did not score for the last 5.5 minutes of the fourth quarter. So Stanford just could not get back, couldn't overcome that. And it's a 7-point second quarter. You figure, okay, and it's not out of the realm for them to have to score 12. If they score 5 more points in the second quarter, this game goes to overtime, right? But that, to me, and you come out and you double your point total in the third quarter, and then you put up 15, put up 29 in the second half. Well, it's I'm still in shock. When I was like, there's no way. And just watching the game, I saw it, like, Brink again was looking good. I just and again, I mean, I said Jump had 8 points, but Haley Jones had 16. The 6'1", the other senior, had 16 points, 8 boards, 16 points, 8 boards, 2 assists, 3 steals. So I mean, that to me is just the utter shock of the day and of the tournament so far. Both tournaments to me. Well, okay, Purdue and Fairleigh Dickinson, yes, FDU. But on the women's side, like, no way. You're thinking, no way. And now Ole Miss will be waiting for the winner of Louisville, Texas, which is funny because I had Stanford, Texas in that Sweet 16. But on the bottom half, give it up for the Colorado Buffaloes. They will be playing Duke tonight. They beat Middle Tennessee State 82-60 in the first round. Duke crushed Iona 89-49. And now tonight at 9 o'clock Eastern, Colorado will take on Duke on ESPNU. So 3-seed Duke, 6-seed Colorado. We'll see what the Buffaloes can do there. That's in the Seattle 4 bracket. In the Greenville 2 bracket, Utah. Well, that is Washington State. Before you get to Utah, though, Washington State got upset in the first round, a 5-12 matchup. Florida Gulf Coast beat them 74-63. And Washington State won the Pac-12 tournament. Again, I was high on this team. I definitely thought they could beat Florida Gulf Coast, but the Florida Gulf Coast offensively, man, had one heck of a game. And Florida Gulf Coast, and yeah, I mean, you look at the box score, and and well, to lead all scores for the game was Shaw Carter, the 6 foot senior who had 28 points, 24, pardon me, 24 points, was 10 of 13 field goals, one for three from behind the arc. She was 3 for 5 from the free throw line, but she had 24 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist to lead all scorers. Carter did that for Washington State. Tara Wallach, the 6'2 sophomore, was the leading scorer for the Cougs, as she had 16 points, 12 rebounds, pardon me, 16 points, 12 boards, and an assist. But Florida Gulf Coast was able to hurt Bella hold Mareka Tate to just 10 points. And she had 10 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 3 for 6 from the field, 4 for 4 from the line. But yeah, it was a team. They were 14 for 18 from the line. Florida Gulf Coast 9 of 15. So 77, over 77% for Washington State, 60% from the line, Florida Gulf Coast. But I mean, it was 31. Well, Florida Gulf Coast led 17-13 after the first, and then it was 32-31. Washington State at the half scored them 19-14 in the second quarter. But the third quarter is what did the Cougs in. Florida Gulf Coast went crazy, 30-16. They outscored Washington State, and I mean, outscoring by 14. You're down 1 at half. You're up by 13, and then they outscored them 15-13 the fourth. But man, that third quarter, Florida Coast, and they just couldn't miss. They couldn't miss. Everything was going their way in the third quarter, and Washington State really just had no answer. So unfortunately, the Cougs bow out in the first round, but Utah did not bow out. They put up 103 points on Gardner Webb. And it's 2-15 matchup, and you're saying, well, you know, they should have done that. You're like, they should have that, but 103 points. I mean, come on. It was 27 points in the first, third, and fourth quarter. In the second quarter, they slacked a little bit. They only put up 22. No, a heck of a job by Utah. Again, 103-77 was the final, as they beat the running Bulldogs of Gardner Webb. But yeah, this young lady has been of the season, but of the tournament, she had 33. Did Alyssa Peely, the junior from Alaska for Utah. She had 33 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. I mean, again, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, double, one block. But it was very bad. I mean, again, 33. Jenna Johnson had a heck of a game as well for Utah, as she put up 20 points. And then she had 20 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals. And then also in double digits in the starters was Gianna Needkens, the 5'11 sophomore. As Gianna had 17 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists. So again, you look at that. I mean, 60 points from 3 of your 5 starters, 3 or 5 in double figures, and you also got 21 points off the bench. So everything going right for Utah as they just cruised in that first round game over Gardner-Webb, and they did not let down any steam as they took on Princeton, who, we know what the men did. Princeton, again, they were the 10 seed. They beat State 64-63 in the first round. But Utah back down to 63 points again. Princeton ladies, Princeton men, Princeton ladies, they play some defense. So watching that game yesterday, or Saturday, was it Saturday? Oh, no, that was yesterday. Yes. That was yesterday. Yes. As they beat Princeton, like I said, 63-56. Peely again, 28 points. So, yeah, slacking off, but 8 for 13 from the field, 1 for 3 behind the arc, 11 for 13 from the line. It's a team that shot 37 free throw. They were 28 for 37 from the line. So Princeton, again, playing physical, but fouling a little bit. She was 11 for 13 from the line. Was Peely again, 28 points. Johnson again, she had 15 points, 6 boards, 2 steals. Peely with 28 points, 10 boards, 3 assists, 1 steal. And Utah, again, is a number 2 seed. And you'll recall they had a share of the Pac-12 championship with Stanford. So they head to the Sweet 16. They'll be taking on LSU, who LSU is able to beat Hawaii and then beat Michigan both handily. So Utah on to the Sweet 16. USC, they fell to South Dakota State in the first round, 62-57. The Trojans were the 8 seed. Again, feeling that I'm like, you know what, they can get it done, but yeah, they got beat in the first round. South Dakota State beat them by 5, and then South Dakota State fell to Virginia Tech. So, but yeah, Pac-12 wise, again, UCLA, again, they'll be taking on Oklahoma tonight to go to the Sweet 16. Colorado will be taking on Duke for the right to take on Iowa in the Sweet 16, and Utah are the 3. Well, yeah, because Washington State, USC, Arizona, and Stanford all lost. So 3 Pac-12 schools left, and we'll see if two of them can advance tonight, or Utah will be the sole Pac-12 school. But this is a Utah team that can win it. I'm telling you right now. So very, very awesome. Friday, going to aim to have Charlie Turner Thorne on, former ASU coach, Pac-12 analyst, hoops analyst. Women's hoops. Yes, she knows, but hoops analyst, aiming to have Coach on Friday. So we'll do that. But we're going to get out of here. I'm going to get out of here and bounce. Hope everybody, again, enjoy the women's games tonight. And I'll be back on the Sports Arena tonight as well. So follow me on Twitter at Diablo00. You can check it out. And I'll be back tonight with that. And like I said, be back Friday for this. So again, by the way, great weekend in baseball, softball, wrestling as well. Championships. I'm going to recap that on Friday, actually, to kick off the show. Before we do anything, I'm going to recap wrestling and gymnastics as well. So we'll have that on Friday. I want to give that, it's in the Pac-12 because a lot of good things happening there in the Pac-12 wrestling wise. So I'm going to get out here. Everybody have a great rest of your Monday. Have a great week until Friday. And yes, as always, I'll be out at spring ball too for ASU football. But as always, like I said before I get out of here, forks up.